When looking for RC products on the web, check out rcdeal.com. This segment is sponsored by rcdeal.com.
Hello again. Thanks for joining us here at OFNA Live. We've come here to show you a new product in our product line. Of course, you're looking at this car right now and you're thinking we already have this, and I've got one in my hands. That's not the case. Even though it looks like an electric car, it is not. It is the Hyper 10 four-wheel drive 10 SC Nitro version chassis, which is coming within the next 60 days. And like I said, the next 60 days we'll be seeing this new product roll into our warehouses for you to purchase and buy. I didn't have a part number available to me, so I don't know what the part number is. As we continue along with this, of course, a lot of the suspension parts are big brother to the electric version. So if you already have a hypercar in your hands, then it'll be relative into most of the parts. Of course, everything down the center line of the car is going to change, but suspension-wise, everything is basically the same. Differentials, diff case, upper and lower suspension arms, uprights, and shock towers. So if you're looking for option parts will be relative to it. Of course, a couple of part numbers will not correspond with it, but most of them will. We'll have a press release announcing what parts will fit on the Hyper 10 SE Nitro version. So as I pull the body off, and of course, the first kits that will come in, from what my understanding is that they will be roller chassis. Of course, rolling chassis will not come with the electronics, and will not come with a receiver or battery. Motor-wise, I'm not too sure about the motor yet. I think that's still in the process. But what we're looking at right now, as of today, will be the future of RTR in short course. And like I said, it is relative to the electric car. Of course, everything down the center line has changed. Center line stuff is basically nitro motor, pipe, fuel tank, 2 servos, and receiver radio box. So as we get a closer look at this car and we get a better view of it, you're going to see that down the center line, there's a lot of stuff that have changed on here. Of course, one is the chassis. Chassis is changed down the middle because it has a flywheel hole for just in case you need to use a starter box besides using the pull start itself. Fuel tank comes from the Hyper 9 car, along with the fuel filter. You're going to get 150 cc's of fuel in here with a long run time on a 0.12 motor. That almost amounts to probably 15 minutes of hard running. The other thing that we also feature on this car is the 0.12 pull start engine that is actually tilted in the chassis with tilted engine mounts, and a new design mini air filter that comes from the Hyper Mini ST was traded over to this. The new fuel filter is smaller in size and sits low profile, so it keeps the car's bumper, it clears the bumper itself, front and back. That's one thing that I like about the feature. A new thing that will be coming is a new longer spout for the pull to the flywheel fuel cap. And we'll have front and rear brakes, of course, for brake bias, just like your traditional A-scale truggies or buggies. It'll be a 2 servo setup, one for brake, one for steering. New chassis braces for the center line of the car, and new steel dog bones down the center line of the car. The other thing that's going to be new on this car is the radio receiver box. It's a screw-in, full sealed box with a grommet to protect the wiring and any kind of water or dust that may just get inside. It also looks like they have a pre-cut out for the transponder, so if you want to mount the transponder in there, you'll be able to X-Acto it out and fit in there perfectly just above the battery. So receiver box would most likely go in here, your battery, and your transponder on the top. This is a good idea. I'm glad they made this. I think it should have came on the Hyper 9. Of course, there could be changes in the near future to make that happen to the Hyper 9. Suspension parts, like I said, are the same. It comes with the same front and rear bumpers. High impact bumpers, so if you land on a twisted kind of angle, the bumper can hold up to that kind of beating and banging. Of course, the same thing with the same bumper in the bumper in the front. It's also made to handle those severe impacts in the front. Standard 3mm shock towers. Of course, there'll be options for it, like graphite shock towers that we offer now for the electric. The shocks are still the same, threaded shock bodies front and rear, and they are oil-filled shocks. Blue spring setup on there. Of course, this is still a prototype car, and it's still in the works, so it may change. It might go white springs, or it might have a new spring itself. Hinge pin parts are still the same as in hinge pin holders, CNC cut stuff. There will be options for that. This will also have an on and off switch, and if it's a roller, you're probably going to have to be able to put your own switch on there. Other things too is still a 3 differential setup on there. Of course, metal spur for the gas cars have always been the key thing to the car holding up in the long run. And I heard that there was plastic ones out there, but you want to run full metal with the metal clutch bell on here. 3-shoe clutch bell on here, and I'm not too sure what the gearing's going to be. So it might be a 14, it might be a 15. We're not too sure yet. It's still standard in the rear with captured hinge pins for the rear lower arms, and then standard uprights with bearings. Of course, it's full ball bearings except for the steering servo, which is bushings in that setup. It's front and rear sway bars. Of course, you can adjust the tension on the sway bars on them to get a better feel of the car when you're out there running. Standard gray wheels with our standard SE tires. And we'll probably be putting our option foams in there like we did before with the electric kits, just so you can have an advantage and not run the stock foams that come with it in the kit. Other features itself, of course, is the new chassis designed only for Nitro, and it holds up well. I'm pretty sure it holds up. It looks like we've had a few test runs on this car, of course. You've probably seen a few videos going on behind me showing some speed runs and them out there running in the dirt. So from the electric chassis ran really good and holds up really well. I'm pretty sure that the Nitro chassis will hold up just as good. 3 differential setup in there, pinion gear with bearings in the same exact way as the electric car, and of course it'll come with the new upper front suspension arms that are filled in versus the first generation kits that the electric car had. So there's some improvements on this car that will be changed as you get this car and we get them in stock. Of course, chassis braces is another thing that's on this car that's new versus the electric, and I'm pretty sure later on down the line there might be an option that might be a CNC cut. Of course, you can always request things to us here. My email address is dj@offna.com. If you have any questions regarding that or something in the future that you would like to see, the more you talk about it, the more I show it, the more we might just turn and make an option part for it. It's coming in the next 60 days. Of course, like I said, this is the RTR. I believe the first versions that come in will be roller chassis. So still, it hasn't been worked out yet, but if you have any questions about it and I can answer them for you on my email, please go ahead and email me. I'll be glad to answer those questions for you and find out what's coming out on it. And like I said, the next 60 days, you'll be seeing the Hyper 4-wheel drive 10SC Nitro version coming to a store near you. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for joining us on OFNA Live.
This show has been sponsored by rcdeal.com. So remember, rcdeal.com for your RC auction and web store needs. It's rcdeal.com.